This is Akhil. I'm a real estate agent in the Los Angeles area. Welcome back to another video, and these videos are documenting my progress towards finding the meaning of the universe. My current objective in real estate is to accomplish any real estate, like prospective tenant or prospective, clients' real estate goals in the most effective and efficient way possible. And hopefully I can help as many people as I can. So let's get on with the video. The first topic is going to be like the cold calling, some updates there. My current lease listings that are active, me putting some more effort into open houses, and some other things I'm learning and some problems I'm facing. So let's get into the video, and let's get into the video. So first things first, let's talk about some cold calling. So far, I've closed 5 leases from cold calling, and then I also just closed 2 other leases that I did a tenant representation on. One of those tenant representations was with a tenant. That was the buyer that I was helping make offers. Their lease ended up coming to a close, and they need to find a new place, so I represented them. And then also, I think I referenced it before in a couple videos ago. I was helping a tenant who was looking for something around $20,000. So we found a place for him for about like the next 67 months, and they're potentially looking to get something permanent. So I'll keep in touch with them, and hopefully, I can get them something a little bit more permanent in the area. It was in Manhattan Beach, so a little far away. If you know where I live in the Valley. So it's a little far away, but made it work. So right now we closed, I guess, so far in the last few weeks, about 7 leases total, and it's a pretty good rhythm in terms of getting the cold calling and getting the leases. I think if I continue to do it and I continue to continue cold calling, continue, I'll be able to get more leases and be on track towards my goal of getting like the leases. So I guess we'll just do a quick overview of the goal here. Again, the reason I chose, so I guess we can do a quick overview of the lead generation, right? So when I first got into real estate, my original lead generation method was I had no idea. So I didn't know what to do to get leads. And some people said this, some people said this. A friend introduced me to a thing called Skylight, where you get like small few $1,000 rentals, like people, like tenants. And that was minorly effective and super wasting time because it was like tenant side, and tenant side is always really hard. And tenant side is only really ever worth it if it's like above 5,000-6,000. Below that, which is most of the Skylight leads, it's a lot of them don't offer commission, and those tenants really just don't particularly care about using an agent or sticking with an agent. So it's hard to make that work as an effective business model. And there's very little value I can provide in that area. The moment you get past, again, 5,000-6,000 and above, then more listings are behind agents, other agents, and there's lots of other things that an agent, like in terms of value that I can provide. I can send certain listings that they may not have access to, like just as a normal person. I can just be on top of it and just kind of give them better insights onto what is like price-wise, what they can get better for like the price that they're spending, what are the better areas, and just all of that. And also from a business perspective, I get a way higher ROI on people who are renting up a higher amount, because again, commissions are based on the lease price of a year, and at the end of the day, 6,000 times 12 is 6,000 times 12 is going to be the amount that's like the times 2.5% of that is the amount I get in commission, right? So obviously, assuming 6,000 times 12, that would be 72,000 a year, so that would be like 2.5%, which that's about like, I don't know, like 1,800 or something. But yeah, that's like the net commission, and of that I get like a small amount of that. So that's how it works. And obviously, if it's 10,000 times 12, then it's $120,000 and 2.5% of that. And then if it's $20,000 times 12, then it's obviously $240,000 and then 2.5% of that. So obviously, the higher in price you go, the more money I can make in commission from a business perspective, and the more value I can provide. Because at the end of the day, people who have more money tend to not have as much time to sit down and search day and night over listings that come out. And I do have the time to at least provide value to them and save them time, help them get access, schedule things in advance, multiple days in advance, make it so that it's very efficient and easy for them to see the places, give them first-hand experience on how we can, during the deal structure, on what is worth it, give them the comps that have recently leased in the area. There's more value I can provide to a higher priced person compared to a lower priced person, just because of the business model. But anyway, enough rambling about that. So that's just the first thing I got into, Skylight, and I realized that was an ineffective way. And it wasn't. And most of these people who are renting at the $3,000 level aren't really necessarily going to be buying stuff like a house in the future. So I then transferred to door knocking, which I did for almost. Well, I actually had a stint of cold calling expireds, and I was using a dialer system, and I found that to be I was only really doing it effectively for about 2.5 months or so, I think. And I found it to be like, it was good, as in like, because the dialer system just kept replenishing, and I could call about like 150 to 200 people a day, or I guess 150 to 200 dials a day, which is probably between 75 and 100 people because I'm double dialing. So that would mean like, of those, when I do call that, it would obviously take like 2, 3, 4 hours maybe potentially to do all that, and I would do that every single day, four or 5 times a week, and that was like somewhat effective, I would say, but a lot of those leads never end up panning out into anything after 2.5 to 3 months. Obviously, the correct sample size is probably about 6 months, but I ended up, the dialer system is about like $500 a month, and it wasn't mine, it was my team leads, and then she ended up canceling the service 2.5 months in, and I basically just like lost access to that. So I realized, okay, I can't do that anymore. So at that point, I switched to door knocking, and I did that for a really long time, and that was pretty consistent. I would do at least for many weeks. I would do 4 days a week, 100 doors a day, and that was for many weeks. Like 100 doors a day would take approximately 2.5 to 3 hours, depending on how fast I'm going, and I did that very consistently. That was the door knocking I did like probably the most consistently, and that was for like almost 8 months. And some of the months I didn't do as consistently because I had other stuff that I was doing, like, I was helping buyers, I was doing, like helping lease people. So I wasn't able to do it as consistently in some of the months, but it was the most consistent thing I've done so far, other than what I'm doing right now. And as you can see, all the door knocking flyers here, and that resulted, I would say that was very ineffective. Even though I got tons of leads, nothing ever turned into anything. And even though I follow up with a lot of those leads just end up basically fizzling out into nothing, and end up using somebody else that they kind of like know already, or they've used in the past. And what my experience with door knocking is that there's so many people that just don't answer the door. And I think maybe like 35 years ago, it could probably work better than right now. But right now, with all of the gated properties, it's just like the hit rate on how many people actually open the door and then actually want to speak with you and then actually are interested in what you're selling. Because most of the time when you go to the door, they're just not interested. And even if they may be selling, which a lot of the properties that I knocked on their door ended up selling a few months later, they just refuse to talk to you. And that's just what I kind of noticed from that. So from there, I kind of realized, okay, this is like super ineffective, and I need to change the direction on what I'm doing. After about 8 months, I was like, okay, this is like obviously not working. My original plan was that it would work, but obviously it never ended up working. So, and I actually did like the door knocking a lot. It was, it's just like, I don't know what, it's kind of fun, honestly. But aside from what I like and what I don't like, it just was ineffective. So I had to change what I was doing. So then I decided, okay, well, there's a few ways I can go. For about a month and a half, I was trying to like work with these developers. And what I realized is like, okay, if I choose to work with developers are very inconsistent. I'd have to potentially hurt relationships with other agents, because if I'm making tons of offers with developers tend to really only look for the best deal, and they back out a lot because if just something small goes wrong. So that, well, give me a bad reputation over other agents, right? And developers are fundamentally untrustworthy because they're just following the money. So if I help them, let's just say buy this property, maybe I do get a commission now, but the problem is it may take 10, 15 properties that we put offers on, so I may hurt my relationship with 10 or 15 agents. And then also, obviously it's time intensive, but ROI-wise, if you make a commission, it's not that big of a deal. So ROI-wise, it may make sense, but reputation-wise, you may hurt your reputation with other agents. And the second thing is, the thing I was noticing is that just developers are like fundamentally just not that trustworthy. If they'll say, oh yeah, we'll give you the listing if you help us buy it, but you really can't trust their word, because if they do end up renovating the place, and then afterwards in the back end, they just like, they can do whatever the hell they want. They just go with a cheaper agent, or they just list it themselves with an internet agent. I don't know. It's just like, it's hard to find reliable and effective. Like, you have to find like a developer that is trustworthy and somebody who has worked with people that in the past. But again, the main thing is reputation and amount of time it takes. And you don't really want to be that guy who just has buyers who just consistently pull out, because then you're just never going to get accepted offers. It just hurts you in the long run. On an infinite time scale, on a long enough time horizon, it'll just hurt you. So after that, I realized, okay, I can either continue doing this, like working with developers and trying to find off-market properties and like on-market deals, or I can kind of shift direction. And I always, maybe developer was the right way to go, and that actually is the way to make the most money, but I just strongly felt that it wasn't something I wanted to do. It felt like, I don't know, I was convincing the agent, like the listing agent, that yeah, we're great clients, please accept our offer, we're going to definitely close. And then a few days later, they see something in the inspection report, and it's like one tiny thing, and they're like, oh, nope, we'll back out. And it's like I spent all this time, and I made a relationship with the agent, and I assured him that we're definitely gonna continue with the transaction. They're super serious about it, and it just I don't know. It's just like, and then you just back out, and then I don't know. It's just like it just gives a bad reputation, And then I have to like, oh, I'm so sorry, blah blah. And it's like if I do that in a long enough time horizon, okay, let's just say he has another property, and we do the exact same thing again, then he's never going to trust me ever, no matter what kind of client I have. So it's like I don't know. I feel like it hurts the reputation in the long run. He'll just be like, oh yeah, that's a lying agent. It doesn't matter what he says, it's all bullshit. And he'll tell the seller that obviously, like, hey, I've worked with this agent before. Both of the times they backed out. You can accept it at your own risk, and that'll just significantly decrease the chance that an offer that's represented by me will get accepted. So, and then I transitioned over to what I'm currently doing now, which is lease cold calling. Right, which is like cold calling lease listings that have been on the market for a while, and this so far has been the most effective thing, other than open houses. And I've consistently been holding open houses, and that's where I got my one sale from during all of this time, from the first like skylight to the door knocking to the cold calling to everything. I've always been trying to consistently hold open houses, and over time I've been refining the way I hold open houses to only choose the best open houses to hold. But now, like I said, I'm working on, or I'm consistently doing the lease cold calling, which in terms of listings is so far the most effective way I've gotten to get leases. Like it's very super effective. Within I would say within 2 to 3 days of cold calling consistently, you'll have at least multiple leads that I would say you'll have at least one lease for every week of calling that you call. The only limiting factor here is just number of leases on market that are listed with a property manager that have been on the market for a long time. That's kind of long, but yeah, that's the only limiter is kind of just the leads and how many leads there actually are. That so far has been the only problem. It's just like sometimes if you consistently call for 2 weeks like all 4 days, the leads just run out. There's just not enough leads anymore to call. There's nobody else. So that's been the only limiting factor, and I can't really find a way to supplement the exact same leads. The only way is maybe to just, I've tried calling expired ones on the market. I think the next thing I haven't tried yet, but I'm not sure how effective it'll be, is calling leases that have been rented out about a year ago. So it's like, okay, or 11 months ago or something, 10 or 11 months ago. Like, okay, I know that these have been rented out, or maybe like ones that have been on the market for 30 days or more that have been rented out. And then you just call up the owner, say, hey, I noticed it's been about 12 months or 11 months or whatever. If your tenant is looking to potentially move out, I'd be happy to be a resource. I'm an agent, and we normally get things rented within 2 to 3 weeks or blah, blah, whatever. Kind of just make a pitch and see if they're potentially interested. I haven't tried doing that, but potentially I will try doing that. So far, the rhythm has just been I do a good amount of cold calling for 2 weeks or so. Then I have, at that point, a good amount of leads that I need to consistently follow up with, and a good amount of people I'm helping from that. So then I end up using like 3 or 4 days to 5 days to potentially even a week of just not cold calling, so that I can service all those people and all of the leads that I currently have. And then by that point in time, there's new leads that come in 1 to 2 weeks after that. Of no cold calling will cause more leases to come in, and then I consistently call those. So yeah, maybe that's an ineffective strategy, and I just need to increase the amount of cold calling, but that's just something I'm considering. So that's pretty much the current scope and the entire context of the current situation. So I know that was kind of long, but the next thing I want to talk about is the mistake that I kind of made in one of the leases. Obviously, you consistently learn, and I should have learned this lesson before, and I kind of did learn the lesson before, but I made the same mistake I did like a dumbass. But so there's this one lease that I just did, and basically the owner was like, "Oh yeah, I'll pay you commission directly," and then I was like, "Okay," and then they didn't want that. So normally the way the commission works, the way it's being paid is like when the lease is signed and the tenant puts in the move-in funds, we deduct the commission directly from the move-in funds, so that ensures the commission gets paid. In this situation, the owner was like, yeah, I'll just pay you directly, just have them, blah, blah, send it to me, and then this for tax reasons, blah, 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 or something. And then it's currently, the lease has been closed for a little while, the tenant has moved in, I still haven't gotten the commission yet. He may still pay it out, obviously he probably will, but I mean, you never know, I don't know yet. But the thing is, it's just a delay. It's been like 2 weeks now, and obviously I don't need the money instantly, but still, it's better to have it now rather than later. And it's just, it's kind of a pain in the ass, just like this type of situation where it's like, oh, you have to wait for the commission, and it should just always be taken out from tenant side. And if it's not taken out from tenant side, it should be given on move-in date by the owner. So that's just my mistake. I'm going to make sure that's like very, very clear next time that the commission must be paid in by the move-in date and when the funds are delivered. Otherwise, we're going to have major issues or something. I don't know. I had to figure that out and make sure that never happens again. But yeah, I obviously made this mistake before when I was tenant siding somebody and then they never paid. But blah, blah, blah. It doesn't really matter. Forget all that shit. I know what to do next time. I'm not going to do it again. So, yeah. And so the ideas and goals. So right now, the idea is that for next year, so right now, this current year, right, year to date, in commissions, I've made like 25 grand, right? Which is pretty shit, but 25 grand is 25 grand. So I've made about that much in commissions this year. And from there, from there next year, and then this is mostly, so like I would say half of that money has been made like, the last 6 months because I've closed all those leases. And then before that, I closed a couple leases before that. I would say like 40% of that money has been made in the last like 2-3 months, primarily 4 months. And then before that, obviously I closed that one deal, which is probably like another 40%. And then the other 20% is like leases that I closed from before. So, the smallest portion is leases that I closed from before. 40% or a major portion is from that one sale that I had. And then the other 40% is from all the leases that I've done. So obviously, if you're going to optimize, you want to optimize for as many sales as possible, which means as many open houses as possible, which is exactly what I'm trying to do. So my plan for, I guess, next year, since it's December, and also continuing on this year, is to continue holding more open houses, as many as possible. Good ones, obviously, not shit ones, but good ones, and to maximize my cold calling. So I want to, my goal is to reliably close like 3 to 4 leases per month. If I can get like at least one a week somehow, not somehow, but if I consistently cold call and I try to call those like 11 month lease properties on the MLS, then I think it's very probable that I can get one every single week, a lease every single week. And if I can do one every single week, I can get 4 leases a week, and assuming each lease earns around $1,000, I can get $4,000 a month times 12, right, which is $50,000, and then. Because some leases pay more than $1,000 anyway, so if you even it out, it'll probably be around like 50, 60 grand. And then, right, in net commissions. And then, right, I get a couple sales in there, and boom, you got $100K. So, the goal is to have at least 3 to 4 sales next year, right? And then, from open houses, and then, at least 4 leases per month, which would be like, 48 leases, right? And I think that's reasonable, and it's not crazy, okay? And I mean, I'm making this goal because I know that I'm most likely going to fall short. And if I fall short of a big goal, I'm still significantly more progress than if I had made a small goal. So I'm going to have to take massive action in order to get to there. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take massive action in order to get to that goal. So like quadrupling the current level of income. And I guess that's what I did from last year, right? Because I earned 25K this year. Last year I earned like 6,500. So I did it last year, so I can do it this year too. Or well, wait, hold on. I did it this year, so I can do it next year too. So, yeah. And then also the idea was like, okay, why did I choose this methodology rather than any other methodology? Well, I think if I choose lead, okay, I think that's a better outline the question. So why did I choose this lead generation method rather than all the other lead generation methods out there, right? Like why did I choose this one, right? And the reason I chose like cold calling leases, even though it may seem ineffective and very shit, is because I think if I have 100 lease clients, right? Because like right now, even though I've closed like 7, right now I have 3 lease listings. But let's just say I know like I've closed like 6, 7 owners, right? I know 6, 7 owners, and I have those leases in my hand, and I've closed them. That means, right? That means that I know 7 owners, but I also know like 10 other, like 10 total owners, like 3, 4 more owners than that just didn't end up leasing with me, that I can keep in touch with, right? And those people that I keep in touch with may end up selling down the line, right? You never know. So, assuming in the next year, if I help like 30, 40, 50 owners, right, like lease their place, then I'll at least have like 70 to 100 potential owner contacts that I know that their property is there. And out of those 100 people, even if it's like a 1% hit rate, one person could be selling their house. And at least I could have that opportunity to be there in the conversation if they go to sell their house. So the goal is just to meet as many owners as possible and to actually help them, right? And to get their understanding of who you are. Because at the end of the day, I mean, when you door knock, they know you, but they don't really care about you or want to work with you ever because, you know, in their eyes, they see you, oh, that like that guy who keeps bugging me, right? Rather, if I help them with a lease, right? This is my thought process. I don't know. It's a hypothesis. Let's see what actually ended up happening. But my hypothesis is if you help them with the lease and like, oh, nice, this guy helped me with the lease. So far, it's been so good. And, you know, the tenant was good or blah, blah, blah. And everything is so far good. Potentially when they go down the line and they know like, okay, yeah, this guy's really communicative. He's on top of things. He's really good with everything that he's doing. He was pretty fast to get back to me. Let's consider him for a potential agent for the job of selling the place. And that's the goal. So that's all to say that I think in the long term, 5 years, right? 5 years. You're looking at a 5-year time horizon. I think cold calling leases and holding open houses, right? In conjunction, right? It's not just like just only cold calling leases, but it's also holding open houses in conjunction. Those two things in conjunction will result in greater success in the long term, in 5 years. Like if I can continually like grow in the next 5 years, then that'll be good, right? And yeah. So I think some things I need to work on right now is just need to focus more time into like the scrubbing of the data. And this shit takes forever, right? Obviously, I said it before. It takes forever to scrub data because it's like finding needles in a haystack. It just takes a long, long time. And the more I do it, the longer it takes. And at some point, there's no leads, right? So I just need to put more time into it. And at the end of the day, just accept that it takes time. And I just got to continue putting more effort into that. And I also need to improve what I say when I speak on the phone. I see myself like, I'd say like 50% of the calls, maybe like 75% of the calls, I do a really good job. I'm sticking to the script. But sometimes I'm just like doing something else or like distracted while I'm calling. And then somebody picks up the phone and then they're like, oh yeah, I potentially might be interested in that. And I just completely blank on the questions. So I think the Alex Hormozi's closer framework, if I stick to it better, which I'm not really sticking to it very well right now, but if I stick to it better, it's a really good framework. Like clarifying why they're there, labeling their issue, right? Overviewing their past experiences and seeing what their problems are in the past and how you can, help solve them. And then, obviously just basically give them like a close S. I don't know. I forgot what S is, but I think it's like giving them just an overview. So it's like a solution to their problem. And then just like explaining away their concerns and then reiterating any, repeating what else you need to do to solve the problem. I'm pretty sure that's the framework. I probably got some of it wrong, but I need to study it better and also implement it better. So yeah, that's what I need to do. So I think I should also practice it more times before I say it, like the script and all of the cold calling things, right? Like I need to practice it more. I need to just do it better, and yeah, I just need to do better. I just need to get better at it. Yeah, so, and then like the long term, again, how this relates is like, if I can do this for 5 years, right? So assuming I'm 25 at that point, right? That's like, I mean, it's not really about money, but it's just like skill wise, then I'll have a bunch of skills. And then at that point, it'll probably be more passive because at this point, I mean, even right now, what takes up the most time of my day is really just scrubbing and lead generation. Those are the two things that take up the most time in any day, right? Like if you took away, let's just say, scrubbing and cold calling, right? My day would be like pretty much 10% work of what it is right now. It would just be responding to texts that I get to reach out to see stuff, following up with people, which takes maybe like 30 minutes a day, maybe, right? Maybe some days it takes an hour, and some days it takes 0 minutes because there's nobody to follow up with on some days because it's just I've already followed up with everyone. So if you take away the lead generation aspect of the business and you just keep it like real estate, like as a whole, if you already have like a huge database, assuming 5 years from now, right? I'll probably have a bigger database, right? This is like assuming the current track that I'm on, if I don't die or anything, or if I don't change anything major in what I'm doing, I'll have a bigger database, more leads who trust me, right? More potential buyers and sellers who I've maybe worked with in the past or who I have in the pipeline who are consistently following up with, right? More landlords that I've worked with, right? So more potential, like by more landlords I've worked with, I mean like more potential people that have helped lease, more potential people that I know, more potential people that could sell their house or sell a different property or buy another property or whatever, right? So that's basically an increase of all of those aspects if I continue to do it if I continue on the current trajectory for the next 5 to 6 years. right? Maybe I will change the cold calling to a more broader marketing strategy, or maybe I'll change the cold calling into something else if I see there's something more efficient, Zillow leads, whatever. Maybe the cold calling will change in the future. But right now, assuming in the same trajectory, I will continue to gain buyers and sellers and continue to grow my database and keep in touch with more and more people, right? So assuming that, even if you like triple the amount of time it takes me to follow up with everyone, that's about an hour a day, right? And even if you triple the amount of servicing work, that's still about another hour, maybe 2 hours a day. So I'm talking about 3 hours of work 5 years from now, excluding lead generation and sales, like lead generation and scrubbing, right? So it takes about 3 hours of work per day, 7 days a week, right? So that's like 21 hours of work, right? So in theory, right, if 5 years from now, I'm at a point where I can still consistently make like stagnation of income for at least the next like 2 to 3 years, then that means I have time to completely change my focus onto another business or another service or another thing that's closer to my goal, right? My end goal, right? I can shift directions because right now I'm directionally correct, but it's not exactly correct, right? I still need to find the meaning, right? So I can't find the meaning or become immortal studying properties and real estate, right? That's not going to happen. So I need to obviously at some point shift the needle, right? Move the needle to something that may work. But this is just like a stepping stone in that direction, right? Because I'm getting skills, right? Sales, marketing, understanding of the markets, understanding of how to like run and operate a service-based business, and right, learning skills of potentially I'll end up managing somebody. Who knows? But anything could potentially happen, right? Optimism, anything could happen. But I still need to move directionally in the direction of finding meaning, right? Who knows what that means? Obviously, in the sense that like I need to move in the direction. So at some point, it's going to have to deviate away from real estate. That's just an inevitability. I don't like to plan too far out because nobody knows what's going to happen. But 5 years down the line, I'll have more time and I'll be able to devote that time. What I'm trying to say is, if I continue on the same trajectory for 5 years, I'll be able to stagnation of income at that point in time, which may be obviously significantly more income and that I currently have now, and I'll be able to use my time towards something that is more directionally correct towards my end goal. So it's a long way of saying, if I continue to do what I'm doing right now and increase the volume as much as possible and increase the amount of people that I'm calling and increase the number of open houses that I'm holding, then I'll be more likely to be directionally correct to my end goal. So let's go to the next subject. So now the current leases that I have are 3. I have currently 3 leases, 2 in Woodland Hills. One I just recently listed a few days ago. Another one I listed about 2 weeks ago. And then one in Echo Park, which I listed about like 4 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. Maybe sometime around the last video I listed that one. And one thing I realized is that the more leases you get, the more you realize that lockbox considerations are a real consideration. So what I mean by that is currently for one of my properties, I have to be there for every single showing, right? So why is this an issue and why is this a benefit and why is this like, what am I saying? So lockbox consideration is this. So I'm considering on my moving forward in my listing presentations to actually advertise the fact that other agents can see the property through a lockbox, right? And so the current way, let me just overview, like take a super big step back. So let's just say an agent reaches out to me and their client, right? So let's just say Agent John has a client and Agent John wants to see my listing, right? Agent John has a client who wants to see my lease, and obviously either I can go and show him the property, or if there's a lockbox in place that is installed, he could just show his client, right? One takes up an hour of my day, basically, because if you go to, from, plus showing time, about an hour of my day, even if it's close by and my listings are 15 minutes away. Even if it's 15 minutes away, for the ones in Woodland Hills, they're 15 minutes away. So even if it's 15 minutes away, right? Okay, 15 minutes away. 15 minutes plus 30 minutes actually at the showing. That's an hour of my day gone. Okay? Or I can have Agent John show the place. Okay? Mr. Agent John will show the place. I didn't have to do anything. I just had to tell him the lockbox code and some highlights of the property. Okay? Agent John shows the place, and if he's interested, then Agent John can send me an application, and I didn't waste an hour of my day that I could have used to cold call more lease listings. So, lockbox considerations is, right now for one of my listings, it's not on a lockbox because the owner wanted me to be there for every single showing. And I think that's partly because I advertise myself as being there for every single showing. What is the benefit, you may ask, of me being there for every single showing? Well, for the owner, maybe it's just the fact that I'm there for every single showing means that I know more about the property, so I'm able to best explain all of the best explain the unique aspects of the property, best explain why this property is better than the ones on the market currently. This one is the best. Better explain and target the pain points of the person who's coming in and explain why this is the best, so that they're more likely to rent the place. That is the primary reason that a listing agent can be there for every single showing. For rental, though, I believe, for me and for the agent, because for me, what I end up doing, just because I can't be there at every single time, every single day, right? Otherwise, I'd be showing people every single day, everywhere, and in my entire day, I would never be able to cold call. So what I do is I try to schedule everybody into one area. Like if 2 people reach out, I won't respond to, like, if let's just say one person reaches out, I'll tell them, hey, I'll get back to you, yeah, I'll get back to you. And then I won't get back to them until I have another person who reached out, so I can couple them together, because there's too much of a risk of me having to go 15, 20 minutes and then not showing up. And then I wasted 45 minutes of my time. 15, 20 minutes to go there, 10 minutes at the property, switching on the lights, right? And then 15 minutes to drive back, right? Because if I switch on the lights, they tell them, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not coming. Or they just don't respond at all. Then I'm sitting there waiting for 10 minutes. They're not there. That's 20 minutes that I just wasted, plus the 15 minutes back. That's 30 minutes plus 20 minutes is 50 minutes, basically an hour wasted for no reason. So if I keep it on lockbox, that means other agents can go see it. The thing is, that doesn't obviously satisfy all of the clients, because some people don't have an agent, and then they directly go with me, and then I can double the deal, and then I just group schedule those people. So moving forward, what I'm saying is that moving forward, I'm going to try to move all of my business towards having a lockbox on the property. And if they want, it could be like one of those Supras, so that, and by the way, if you don't know, I freaking hate Supras. They suck. But Supra is like where it's this nice monopoly that this company has on all agents, and make sure they pay $15 a month. Okay, these guys are extracting money out of agents. Okay, and $15 a month for this service. Okay, and it's like a phone service, so like only agents can have the app, right? And then they put it on there, and then only with your phone you can unlock that shit. If you have the passcode on the phone, you unlock it, and then only agents can use that lockbox, basically. So right now, if I have a normal lockbox, just a fucking code, right? Anybody can put that code in. Right? Let's just say the code is like 11111, right? If I give it to an agent, right, and that agent tells his client, and his client tells some homeless guy, then some homeless guy could be ending up in the property, right? I'm just saying, obviously that's probably not going to happen, but it's a possibility, right? If I give it on Supra, right, on the Supra thing, then only another agent can have access to this property, which means, right, somebody, whoever that agent was who opened it, is responsible for the property. So if something goes wrong, right now some homeless guy gets inside the house and starts squatting, you know that the person who did it was that last agent who opened it. So it's like, I guess it's useful in that regard. But I still think their business is very monopolistic, and they basically force you, because so many agents use Supra, and now in order to unlock the Supra, you need to pay Supra, right? You need to pay their company $16. And you basically have a monopoly over all agents, because unless you want to, give your clients away, and not be able to show them, you need to buy the Supra service, right? You need to have their Supra billing service, and it's a pain in the ass to get off of it, and if you want to get back into it, it's a pain in the ass. So basically, they probably have a monopoly over like probably 15,000 agents, each paying $15, and then their lockbox costs $150. So they're probably making they're making big bank over here. I'm in the wrong business. I should be in the lockbox business. Anyway, yeah, but that is the lockbox considerations, and yeah, that's I don't even know why I went on that, such a big tangent on that, but yeah. And then I keep getting reminded that pricing is literally everything. It's like you list a place and then it gets no activity. The second you lower the price, you get a million people reaching out. It's like pricing is literally everything. And I mean, as much as marketing makes a difference, the real factor is pricing, and just what you do with the feedback makes the biggest difference. If the place is dirty as shit, it doesn't matter how low you price it. If it's really, really dirty and really cluttered or something, then at some point you just gotta fix the major problem, and then it'll be solved, right? It's like sometimes just like fixing the big problems. One of those big problems is always pricing. So on to the next. Okay, and in regards to open houses, so basically I'm putting significantly more effort into them right now. I'm consistently, right? So right now, last week I texted a bunch of agents, and I got 2 open houses from 2 different agents that I held. So 2 different ones. I know it's a little complex because it's like change the signs one day, do this one day, but it actually worked out pretty well. And yeah, as long as I'm texting, as long as I'm doing the ones that are like newer on market, or clearly in more desirable areas, I'm getting a ton of leads that come through. And I mean, obviously it takes a lot of leads in order for one to actually become a buyer. But yeah, it's pretty good. I've been meeting a lot of people though. So I want to consistently do that. And honestly, every time I'm like not having an open house, I'm just like, I already know the solution. I just need to text the agents. But it's like not doing the work that needs to be done is such a common thing, and it's really easy. It takes like it's like maybe 30 minutes of just searching all the new ones on market from Compass agents, just texting all of them. Odds are one of them or two of them will have an extra open house, and I can get that. And it's really that. It's like it comes down to just doing the work, and the work just needs doing, and I'm trying to, obviously, I'm not going to be holding like ones that are really older on market. There's obviously always open house opportunities that are shit. It's just I don't want to do those because they're shit. I mean, in theory, I could have an open house every single day, actually, but it wouldn't be worth it because all the open houses that I would get are not that great. So I'm really selective on the open houses I take, and so far, I mean, as long as I pick the new ones that are on like recently listed, good price point, good area, you get a decent amount of traffic. And there's it just really shows that there's such a big correlation just between like work and results. And the work just needs doing. Any developers that come through any open houses or any like people who are clearly looking just for only like deals or something like that, I'm just not working with. Or even landlords that I just clearly see are just like taking up a lot of time, or they're clearly those type of clients where it's like, if I want the listing, I'm gonna have to be spending a lot of my time like talking to them all the time, like on a daily basis or something. And the lease listings that I have right now, in terms of time that they take up every single day, it's like, I mean, I show them and that's about it. But in terms of owners, the owners are, pretty relaxed. They're chill. Like, okay, take your time, get it done right. And that's like the way it should be. You don't want to have like an owner where it's like, you have to jump on a call every single day and they're trying to explain to them stuff. It's just like, you don't want that hassle, right? It's just like time and efficiency. I want to make sure I'm working with the most efficient, best types of clientele, and not ones where I need to make 100 million offers in order to get one accepted, or they're just unreasonable or something like that. And then one thing I need to improve also is just getting distracted. I think it happens to the best of us, but you just like see something, like for me sometimes it's like history, and I just like read some shit about some battle that happened in like who knows what time, and it's just like you just get sucked in, and then 30-40 minutes later you're like reading about like some random shit, like a first-hand account from German soldier in Stalingrad. Like, what? Who cares? Doesn't matter. It's not relevant. I mean, history is important because you learn the lessons from it. But at the end of the day, learning about individual battles and individual like accounts is not necessarily very productive towards my goal of finding the meeting. So and also just like random scrolling, obviously, X, blah blah, Instagram. It's always there. So I just really need to increase my focus better. Just turn that shit off. It's really just a discipline thing. If you let it take up time. And you just like let it, it's like you give an inch, it takes a mile, so that's the way it is. You give an inch, you just allow yourself to look on YouTube for a little while, and before you know it, boom, you've already watched like 30 minutes worth of videos. You just, you're sitting down on like X, you just give an inch, and then like the algorithm will take a mile, right? So you just gotta go cut that shit out. And same thing with like listening to music, it's like you want to listen to music while you're doing like work or whatever, and it's just like boom. Like you get distracted, like, who's this guy? Who made this song? And you like look into his backstory, and then before you know it, you wasted 5 minutes that could have been used productively. It's just like shit adds up. So it's not worth the time. So I just need to focus more in all fronts, and and then the beginning of the one thing that it's not really a distraction, but it's a very useful use of time is reading the beginning of Infinity by David Deutsch. I probably talked about this before, but it's a really good book. I mean, Naval recommended it, and it's just kind of like the fundamental basics of, it's just like truths, truths about the world, about the universe. And that's what it should be, It's just getting down to the truths. And it really goes over like how many like pessimistic mindsets, plague the world, and how, what is the truth and reality of the matter? You know what I'm saying? It just really gets down to the truth and the actual reality of humanity. And, the beginning of infinity, which is the beginning of knowledge and the infinite expansion of knowledge, right? So, and the search for better explanations. So it's the best book, I would say. One of the best books I've ever read. And I haven't even finished it, I'm not even close. And while I try to read like 5 to 10 pages, while I try to read 10 pages a day of that, in reality, there's probably like so much I'm missing out of it just because I don't understand fully the terminology that they're using and the references that they're making. And even when you do research, it's like, of course, how deep do you want to go into it, and how much do you actually understand, and how much, even if you understand like the word, do you actually understand like what it's saying. I can understand the definition of a word, but I don't actually understand what it's saying in the sentence. So I just gloss over it, and I don't really understand the impact of what he's saying is. So I'm doing my best to understand it, but it'll probably take like 4 or 5 reads over, years, different like time periods. Maybe I'll read it now, maybe I'll reread it again in the next year or two, and then maybe 5 years down the line I'll reread it again and learn a whole nother, a set of things. And then maybe 10 years after that I'll reread it again, and it'll change my worldview again, because it's just such a dense book with so many different principles and understandings and lessons to take away. And it's a very deep book that I think if you really understand those principles, those are kind of just like the principles of optimism in the beginning of infinity, and it's just it's relevant to my goal, so of understanding the universe. So yeah. Anyway, that's that, and then I think I referenced this before, but here we are. I closed. I think I said on the 6th lease that I would close. I would get a new knife. So here it is. The funny thing about this is, I was interested in it for so long. Right? I was looking on this thing on Amazon for so long when it was coming here. It took like a week, and I kept checking it every day. And on the day that it was arriving, I checked it multiple times. And then the second I got it, it was interesting for about 2.5 minutes, maybe 3.5 minutes. And now, I don't even care about it anymore. It's just like, oh, you got a K-bar, congratulations, next. You know what I'm saying? I guess that's how it is. But yeah, it's a pretty cool knife. It's big, it's huge. If you want to see the size, I guess this is the size here, size comparison. So that's pretty big. It's kind of heavy too, and it's like cha-ching, cha-ching. The sheath's kind of cool too. You can like attach it to your belt. It's like a belt sheath. You put your belt through here, right here. You can put it right here to the side. I don't think you're ever gonna really use it though, because this is so big that it's like you can never really carry this in the city. You'd be like looked at like you're some type of crazy person. So maybe like when you go on a hike or something, you take this with you. Going somewhere, going into the wilderness, you take this guy. But other than that, I guess just chills. It's like one of those things you buy and it just like sits there. It's like, why did I buy this in the first place? Why was I so obsessed over this? But I guess that's just the way it is. That's why products are. Shit! God damn it! Products are that way, especially like products like this. Anyway, some stuff that you don't really use on a daily basis. So yeah, that's that. That's the video. One step closer every single day. Get closer there, and then it'll happen soon enough. Or I'll die. But either way, it'll be cool. So on the next. See you next time. And that's the end of the video.